Hey everyone, and welcome to today's Explainer. We're diving into something really special today, a highly unusual, incredibly emotional, and honestly pretty unprecedented moment in late-night television history. You know, every now and then, that standard veil of celebrity jokes and banter just kind of drops, and we get a raw, unscripted glimpse into the real dynamics operating behind the scenes. We're going to be looking at a very specific address delivered by Jimmy Kimmel. It's a moment that completely broke the mold. We've got a lot of ground to cover today regarding network dynamics, behind-the-scenes industry relationships, and a genuinely surprising farewell. So let's just jump right in.
Okay, we're starting with a bit of a cold open here, because the sheer intensity of this quote really sets the tone for the corporate drama we're unpacking. Jimmy Kimmel absolutely doesn't mince words here. When he was addressing the departure of Stephen Colbert and the team at The Late Show on CBS, Kimmel immediately points a finger straight at the network's executives. Now, just to be totally clear, we aren't here to take sides in a network dispute, but it is absolutely crucial to understand Kimmel's perspective here. He firmly believes this team was, quote, pushed out. It's a jarring, pretty accusatory statement that instantly hooks you, right? It lets you know right off the bat that this isn't just your standard, PR-friendly Hollywood goodbye.
All right, moving into Section 1, a surprising programming note, yielding the airwaves.
So Kimmel delivered this quick programming note stating his show would actually be off the air the very next night out of pure respect for The Late Show. Think about that for a second. In the totally cutthroat, ratings-driven landscape of broadcast TV, it is incredibly rare for a host to willingly give up their own valuable airtime to honor a direct competitor, a show that airs right opposite theirs. It's a massive act of deference that you frankly almost never see in the entertainment industry.
And it's really interesting to see exactly who Kimmel is dedicating this dark night to. He isn't just tipping his hat to the man in front of the camera, his colleague and friend Stephen Colbert. No, he is incredibly deliberate about acknowledging the entire ecosystem of that competing show. He specifically calls out the writers, the producers, the staff, and the crew. He's actively recognizing the massive behind-the-scenes effort that goes into creating these broadcasts, honoring the whole team on the occasion of their final show on CBS.
That brings us to Section 2, the push from CBS, analyzing the network drama.
The really crucial point here is Kimmel's unvarnished honesty about the whole situation. He explicitly states, "I think you know how I feel about the fact that they are being pushed out." Again, looking at this impartially, this is strictly Kimmel's characterization of events. But by using that specific phrase, pushed out, Kimmel completely strips away the usual corporate spin. You know, the standard statements about mutual partings or moving on to exciting new ventures. He frames it as an involuntary, unjust exit orchestrated entirely by the network.
Kimmel expresses profound frustration, literally going on the record to say that those responsible for this push should feel ashamed of themselves, although he does cynically add his belief that they probably won't. It's just a remarkable display of solidarity across network lines. I mean, it's a host on one network publicly reprimanding the executives of another for how they treat their talent and crew. You just don't see that every day.
And this next part brilliantly illustrates the duality of Kimmel's message, because despite his very palpable anger toward the network brass, he executes this hard pivot in his tone. He steps back and says that the most important thing is to congratulate the outgoing team. He warmly praises Colbert and the entire staff for all their great work over the past year. Furthermore, he expresses absolute certainty, stating he has no doubt that they're going to continue to do great work in other venues. It's a totally masterful transition from corporate critique to profound professional warmth.
Let's shift gears to Section 3, a new late-night culture, camaraderie over competition.
If you're a fan of television history, you know all about the old days of late night. It was completely defined by bitter rivalries, intense feuds, and a total winner-take-all mentality. Hosts back then rarely spoke to one another, let alone praised each other on national television. Well, Kimmel draws a direct contrast here. He explicitly points out that their current relationship is absolutely nothing like the old days of late night. Instead of cutthroat competition, we're witnessing this incredibly gracious, mutually supportive modern dynamic. So what does this modern dynamic actually look like through Kimmel's eyes? Well, he notes that Colbert's team was always gracious. And he reveals a stunning detail for a television host. He says he never actually felt like they were competing against them. Crazy, right? Instead, they found mutual joy crossing enemy lines to be guests on each other's shows. He even extends an open invitation, saying he hopes Colbert visits his show as many times as possible in the future. The absolute essence of that modern camaraderie is captured perfectly in this line. On behalf of everyone at our show, we want to say to everyone at your show, it has been a pleasure to work alongside you. Notice the phrasing there, work alongside you. Not against you, not in competition with you, alongside you. It shows a genuine solidarity and a really deep mutual respect between the staffs of two technically competing shows.
All right, heading into our final section, the final send-off, Kimmel's instructions to viewers.
So after this deeply emotional tribute, Kimmel turns his attention directly to the camera and gives his viewers 3 very clear instructions. Step 1, tune in to CBS tomorrow night for the final time. Yep, he is literally directing his own loyal audience to go watch the rival network. Step 2, do this to wish Stephen and the friends at the Late Show a fond farewell. And then step 3, and this is where we get that perfect, tasteful, comedic punchline to break the tension. After you watch tomorrow night, quote, don't ever watch it again. It's a hilarious, sharp joke about permanently boycotting the network for their corporate decisions. It perfectly wraps up his heartfelt tribute with a good old dose of classic late-night humor.
Which leaves us with this final thought. When a host willingly yields their own airwaves, publicly reprimands a rival network's executives, and directs his own fans to go watch the competition just to say a fond farewell, well, we really have to ask. Does this unprecedented gesture mark the definitive end of traditional late-night television rivalries? Has the culture permanently shifted from fierce competition to a supportive community? It's a genuinely fascinating look at the evolution of television and viewer loyalty. Thank you so much for hanging out with me for this explainer, and I really hope this deep dive left you with a fresh perspective on the true dynamics operating behind the screen.